What's going on, beautiful people? This is the Perspective Chasers podcast, and I'm your host, John. On this episode, I want to talk about excuses. Now, this is something we're all guilty of at one point or another, and I mean, take your list of excuses or take your pick of excuses rather, and take your pick of the aspect of life. There's probably untold situations we could all pick from where we've made excuses for varying reasons. Sometimes it's justifiable, and sometimes it's not. Again, like all of life, it's down to you to be wise enough to kind of call out when it's appropriate and when it's not. But I think all of us can stand to kind of take a look at why we make excuses and kind of deep how we can not avoid making excuses, but more confront the problem before it becomes an excuse. I'll give you an example from my own life at the minute. My sleep is something that I'm really trying to get a handle on. And that's a lie. I'm not trying to get a handle on it. It's something I want to get a handle on. But as I've said many, many times, I live a hectic life between working and little one and everything else. It's my sleep patterns here, there and everywhere. Sometimes I'm sleeping a couple of hours during the day. Sometimes I'm sleeping a couple of hours at night. Sometimes I'm staying up over 24 hours straight. Sometimes I get too much sleep. And I keep finding excuses why I can't correct it and why I can't put in a better routine. And while some of them are valid, i.e. I work at night, so my sleep pattern being messed up to some extent is going to happen, but that doesn't have to mean it's always got to be like that. So, funnily enough, while I was struggling to sleep today, I was laying there thinking about it all. And I'm going to find a way to improve the routine that I have without having to wait for the excuses I've been bringing up, i.e. I'd have to change jobs. But there's another way, or at least there's improvements that I can make beyond that or before then that would help. And I think a lot of us are like that with other excuses that we make. There's a desirable solution, which is the end goal that we want. And then there's multiple ways of getting there. Now, the easiest thing when we're making excuses for ourselves is to put it out of reach and say, well, it's not for us, or it would be too hard to get there, and put up as many barriers as we can. Because we look for the easy way in life. I mean, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't think anybody wants a hard life. Like, don't get me wrong, there are benefits to having a hard life, and it makes for strong people. But I don't think anybody wants to face those adversities. Like I've said before, I think more people just want to be happy in life and enjoy their time here. But anyway, like, there's many reasons why we make excuses for ourselves. So taking some time to actually sit down and try to understand why you're making each excuse and how you can work around it. So for my sleep, like, yeah, cool, I work nights, so there's going to be a few days where my sleep is messed up. But then on the days where I'm not working nights, I can try to get better sleep in those days. That would still be an improvement on what I'm getting now. There's still things that I could change in my lifestyle that would improve my sleep and everything else. So there's far more things to do, there's far more things I can do than excuses I can make. So I think it's always going to come down to that, whereas you'll always be able to make an excuse. Oh, I can't get to the gym, I can't save money, bills are too expensive, this, that, or whatever else, or like, no matter what it is, you'll be able to find an excuse. But if that's true, then you'll just as easily be able to find a solution. It might not be the solution that you want, but it will be a step closer from where you are now to where you want to be. And sometimes that has to be enough. Like, so many people look for the quick fixes and the easy ways. But progress, or at least permanent progress, is slow going. Like, well, there's a statistic about lottery winners that most people that win the lottery within a couple of years return to being back to where they was, working again and everything else, because they don't know how to deal with that and how to handle that money and handle those situations. I think a lot of life is like that. And a lot of people are essentially lottery winners in that sense. Whereas if you do catch a break and you haven't put in the long work for it, you don't know how you got there. So you might have got there once, but then you don't know how to get back there. And that might be a bit cryptic, but once you've done it the hard way, you know how it's done. So even if you lose it all, you'll know how you done it in the first place. And even still, like, the amount of myths that you'll disprove, like, I talk to so many people that are looking for the one way to make success. Where you have all of these successful people out there that are on several different grinds all the time. And they have been for decades, if not longer. And you've got other people that just see where they're at and want to be there. And don't get me wrong, there are some people that have catapulted their way through life, and fair play to them. But that's not going to be everybody. If that is you, congratulations and all the best to you. But if you're holding out to be that person, I'm sorry, but there's no guarantee it's ever going to come. But there is a guarantee that you can stop making excuses and start taking action. There's always going to be excuses out there, but there's always going to be things that need to be done. So if you can stop making excuses and start getting things done, you'll start to make change. And that change will bring about a whole new ways of life. But it all comes with stopping making the excuses. Stop getting in your own way. We all do it. We all make excuses for this, that, and everything else. We're looking for convenience. We're looking for the path of least resistance. But that's not where you get stronger. That's not where you get better. Like, it's so easy to get complacent in life and to just go into autopilot. But again, nothing new comes of it. It's autopilot. It's the same old story just run time and time again. And that gets boring. Like, at least for me, I like to have some spontaneity, some excitement in my life. Like, I don't think anybody would want to relive the same day over and over again, even if it was the greatest day of your life. Eventually you'd get bored of it. So understand that no matter what it is that you're afraid of, or whatever the reason for your excuses, it is just an excuse. It's just a barrier that you're putting up. It doesn't make it impossible. It doesn't mean it's unachievable. It doesn't mean that you'll never get there. If anything, it means that you don't think you deserve to be there. And that's where sitting down and understanding why you're creating that excuse, that's where the power will come from. Understanding why you're getting in your own way. Understand where the excuse comes from. And it could be learned behavior. You could have been told your whole life that things are X, Y, or Z. And now you're trying to retrain yourself and simply trying to break that cycle and that indoctrination that you keep going round and round and round again, and you're struggling to prove to yourself that you're worth changing. But that in itself goes to show that you're worth putting in the effort for you. So the fact that you're getting in your own way, I would say there's more telling stuff in that than there is in making the excuse itself. So if you can sit down and understand why you made the excuse and why you're getting in your own way, you'll find far more chance of getting through it. And sometimes, like I say, excuses are valid. So sometimes there's a lot to be learned by sitting with that thought and understanding why you're getting in your way or why that excuse is valid or invalid. But take the time. Don't just see that you've got an excuse and run with it. Take the time to understand why you're making the excuse. Is it valid? Is it invalid? And what is the motivation behind that excuse? Because no matter what, you are worth it. Like, we are all living our experience. We are all out there having our own life, having our own experiences, our own joys, our own happiness. Like I've said time and time again, your life is in your control. It's down to you to go out there and make your experience whatever it is. And you'll get in your own way. People will get in your way. But you can learn to manage it all better. And it's never going to come by making excuses for yourself or others. So stop making excuses and start confronting them. It's time to change. That's going to be it for this episode. The seed for this episode is going to be, if you are making excuses for yourself, if you are getting in your own way, sit down and do a list of 5 to 10 things that counteract that excuse. 5 to 10 ways through your problem. Like I say, for me it was my sleep. But okay, cool, I can't make the perfect fix of fixing my sleep 7 days a week. But maybe I could fix it 3 days a week. That's better than having messed up sleep 6-7 days a week. There's always going to be somewhere for you to start. Don't think that's not enough. Starting on your journey is the first step to getting to where you want to be. So never be afraid to take it. All the best, and I'll catch you on the next one.